I'm just gonna like leave this photo of Otis up, like this whole collage of Otis up, because it pretty much just sums up all my feelings of Sex Education season 4 compressed into just one image. Now, I didn't always feel this way about Sex Education. Sex Education was my favorite show for the longest time, but let me just frame this for you. I want you to think back. All right, think back with me. Think back with me. Go on a little journey with me. It's 2019, and you're scrolling through Netflix when, bam, you see a new show called Sex Education. Immediately, you're put off by the title, but then all your friends are telling you, like, just give the show a chance, you're gonna like it, and then you immediately fall in love with it after you watch the first season. The sets, the characters, the establishing shots, and the story all pull you in, and you immediately feel like you're a part of Moordale. You're a part of this little community, and you're witnessing a masterpiece in the making. However, that's only season 1. Sex Education after this season kind of slowly but surely began to degrade in overall quality until we eventually reached the apex, the culmination of its writing choices, season 4. When season 4 kind of got announced as the final season of the show, I, like many others, saw this as an opportunity for all the main cast storylines to reach their natural conclusions and tie up any loose ends that were still present within the narrative. However, we didn't really get that. Instead, what we are given is essentially a soft reboot in a final season. Can we talk about that real quick? A soft reboot in a final season. Now, soft reboots can be done well. Like, there have been plenty of instances in television where soft reboots are done well. But the problem is, this is the final season of the show. Alright, final season of the show, and we're getting a soft reboot. I don't understand why we did that, because not only did it not really make sense in the narrative to do a soft reboot, it effectively killed the pacing for like the entire first half of the season. In just the first episode, we're not only introduced to a brand new school in Cavendish. Can we talk about that, by the way? We just, like, immediately just are gone from Moordale. We never really talk about the Moordale school at all. Pretty much at all throughout the whole season, if I remember correctly. We get kind of like one shot in, like, Moordale at night, but that's pretty much it. And we never talk about it again throughout the whole season? Alright. And, like, Hope is just gone, too. Like, Hope was, like, a big antagonistic threat, and then she's never mentioned again? Alright. But in this first episode, we're introduced to Cavendish, and honestly, when we get to this point, we meet many people's gripes with the season, and that's the character group of Aisha, Roman, and Abby. While all the performances were fine, I'm not going to knock the performances at all. While all the performances were great, the problem is, why are we focusing so much screen time through side characters in the final season? We were focusing so much attention on them, and we're just not going to see them ever again. We waste like 3, pretty much 4 episodes on all these side characters, and we're never going to see them again. They're just never going to come back. It doesn't make sense. Why are we doing this? Why are we taking away from the main characters' arcs? It doesn't make any sense to me. However, while Roman, Abby, and Aisha, especially Abby. Abby's like one of the worst characters I've seen in a long time. I hated Abby. But the worst character, no side character got on my nerves more than the character of O. As soon as O is introduced in the story, bro, I just knew she was going to be a constant annoyance due to effectively being the female Otis. And as a result, pretty much a good half of Otis's screen time is intertwined with O and their rivalry of who should be the only sex therapist on campus. Now this arc, while good in concept, because it gives us more Otis and Ruby screen time, and who doesn't want more Otis and Ruby screen time, bro? But like, bro, O is just like so annoying. And like Otis's arc this season is pretty much like all intertwined with her. And like Otis is our lead. And like his arc is one of my least favorites of the season. It just doesn't make sense. However, my main problem with this season has nothing to do with like pretty much the ultimately pointless side cast. It stems from the writers being like ultimately afraid to commit to a proper relationship for Otis in the end. Like Otis Otis is a character that has kind of been defined through his romances in a way. Like first it was Ola, but Maeve especially, bro. Maeve, he's been pretty much defined through Maeve and their will they won't they relationship. So, but honestly though, like throughout the season, the show tried to continue to sell me on the idea of Otis and Maeve. However, once again, I felt more chemistry between Otis and Ruby the whole season, bro. The show keeps trying to sell me on Otis and Maeve, and I'm sorry. Otis and Ruby is the better pairing. I don't care what you say, bro. They're just better. And especially, even though I hate O, her best scene is with Ruby when she's pretty much therapizing Ruby, and like how Ruby is she's pretty much telling Ruby how Ruby is still in love with Otis, and she's pretty much just waiting for Otis to like reciprocate her feelings. Bro, I felt I felt the sadness and the pain from Ruby that she just wants to be loved by Otis, but like she just keeps having to like wait and like pretty much just like compete with Maeve. When I'm sorry, bro, the Otis and Maeve chemistry just wasn't hitting this season for me. It just didn't really hit. I don't know. But since like the pairing of Otis and Ruby like it just suffers, bro, due to the writers continuing to cling to the idea of Otis and Maeve and ultimately just stringing us along with their will they won't they. Only this time it's if they will have sex. So after posing the question for 3 episodes, they culminate their relationship with sex in episode 7, only for them to immediately break up and Maeve goes back to America and they never have a scene again. Bro, what the hell was that? What was that? That shit was so stupid. That shit was so dumb. Why did you like give us like a 3-episode arc of will they or won't they like have sex and then like they just break up and she goes to America? I get it's for her writing and Otis doesn't want to hold her back, but bro, you've been like dangling this relationship in front of people's faces for years and then you end the show with them broken up. That is the most bullshit thing I have ever seen. I have ever seen. These writers were so scared to commit to a relationship, bro. Like, what are we doing? Just commit. Why are you so scared? You ended every else's main character arc so perfectly. Why did you do Otis like this? He didn't deserve this. He's your main character. However, while I have my problems with this season, I can't deny that season 4 has got some pretty amazing content as a fan of the show. As usual, Adam pretty much steals every scene he's in and has solidified himself for me as pretty much the best character in the show. Connor Swindles, bro, has such a gift in being able to convey the emotion of any scene he's in with just a look on his face with no dialogue. No dialogue. Pretty much everything with the Groff family is amazing, and it feels like an entirely different show in the best way possible. Another thing I loved was pretty much the implementation of Maeve's brother Sean. Sean's presence for the death of their mother was such a good usage of the character, because not only did we get to see how grief works differently for others, every time Sean's on screen, it felt like I was watching season 1 again. But of course, wow, dog. This is another thing I loved, but also another thing I hated. What they did to Jackson, I will never forgive. Jackson's character arc in season 2 was set up so perfectly, man. And now, see, Jackson in season 4 now is a completely different character. I don't know what they did to Jackson, but like it needs to be studied as like one of the worst things in like probably like this is the problem with sex education and like what they ran into. Like the cast got too big for the show, man. So because of that, Jackson's moms like were pretty much like sprinkled in throughout the season, like at different points. So Jackson's whole thing was that like he wanted to discover who his biological father was. And that's usually a plot line that should sustain throughout the whole season. But it's really only brought up in like the final 2, maybe 3 episodes of the season, bro. So while it's acted well, the moms got too big and like it the screen time for that plot line is just like non-existent. It's like pretty much so surface level that like you don't even really get invested in it. I know this is supposed to be my good points, but one more bad thing. The final episode. The final episode, bro, I thought was going to be so great. And while it had some great acting moments, particularly from Eric, bro, why did we spend 40 minutes looking for Cal? I didn't care about Cal once in the whole season. I didn't care, bro. I'm sorry. I don't know what the point of Cal was. Wasting 40 minutes in your final episode to a side character is genuinely insane to me. Genuinely insane. I don't understand it. I don't know why we wasted 40 minutes of screen time for a side character. But once again though, a great thing that Sex Education always tackled was Amy's storyline. Amy's storyline is probably like the best thing in this entire show. It's the one storyline that like stuck to the test of time, man. That storyline was always good. Amy always delivered. And her final scene of like her just burning the jeans at the bus stop, perfect. Perfect way to end her arc. Like, but of course though, like nothing for me is really gonna beat that final shot of Onus looking out the window, and we get one of the best elements of the show back, the establishing shots, and we get one of the probably arguably the best establishing shot, and it's a shot of Mordale and the Milburn house we all grew to love over time. And like as it slowly fades out, the sunlight just reflects it. That was beautiful. So while I had my critiques with Sex Education as a whole this season, season 4 was a rough watch, man. I don't know if I'll ever like watch this season ever again. But Sex Education will go down as still one of my favorite shows. But man, this final season was rough. I like now I know how people feel when their favorite show gets done dirty like this, cuz man, this was rough. And I really hope that other people like for all I know, people loved this season. And like that's great. I'm glad you guys love this season, but for me, this season is probably like a 5. A 5 out of 10, bro. This season to me was so bad. The main cast saved it. Main cast had to do so much heavy work because the first 4 episodes are pretty much filler. And like Maeve's funeral episode, Maeve's mom's funeral episode, like carries. Hard carries. Probably brings it up to a 5.5 for me. Alright, but that'll do it.